File 22. The attic feed. They told us the attic was the hotspot. Every house like this has one room the owners avoid naming too often, and in this place it was the crawl space above the second floor. We followed the pull-down ladder with the camcorder rolling, sweeping across old beams, insulation, moth-eaten boxes, and a floor powdered with dust so untouched it looked staged. Marcus joked that if something moved up there, at least we would finally get enough footage to justify the trip. Nobody laughed very hard. The air felt packed, like the room had been sealed with its own breath for years, and even before we set anything down, I had the weird sense that something in the dark had already noticed the lens. Marcus mounted the static cam low on a crate facing the far end of the attic, where the ceiling dipped so sharply, a grown man would have to crawl flat to get through. We ran the feed into a monitor downstairs in what used to be the dining room. The plan was simple. Leave one camera up there, keep one with me, and wait for anything strange to happen on the locked-off shot. Jen stayed near the monitor, wearing headphones, logging every audio pop and signal flutter. I stayed at the base of the attic ladder with the handheld, aimed upward into the black opening. For 10 minutes, nothing happened except soft interference and the occasional creak that old houses make when they remember weather they have already survived. The first problem was timing. On the monitor downstairs, something pale slid into frame at the far end of the attic feed. It was low to the floor, slow, deliberate, almost human, except for the way its shoulders moved without rhythm, like joints learning the motion one at a time. Jen called my name sharply, and I turned the handheld up toward the opening. The attic above me was empty. No body, no shifting insulation, no sound except the same dull settling noise. I ran upstairs, shoved the attic hatch open wider, and crawled halfway in with the handheld light cutting across every inch of floor. Nothing. Then Jen yelled again from below. On the live feed, the crawler had made it 3 feet closer. We checked for loops, delays, playback glitches, anything that would make technical sense. Marcus swore the signal was live. He waved his hand in front of the attic camera, and we watched it happen instantly on the monitor. Then his hand dropped out of frame, and behind where he had been standing on the feed, the crawling figure was still there, frozen for half a second like it had been waiting for him to move. Its head lifted a little too far, chin first, like the neck bent wrong. Upstairs, Marcus was alone in the attic with nothing behind him. Downstairs on the feed, something was closing in on his back, one dragged elbow at a time. I shouted for Marcus to get out, and the second he spun around, the attic camera cut to snow for one hard burst. Not soft interference, not artifacting. Full white static with a crackle that punched through the room so loud Jen ripped one headphone off. Then the picture snapped back. Marcus was out of frame. The attic was empty again. I heard him stumbling down the ladder above me, breathing hard, saying there had been nobody there. He reached the bottom looking embarrassed and angry, but when I swung the handheld at his face, he stopped talking. There was a long gray streak across the back of his shirt, like a dusty hand had pressed between his shoulders and slid downward. We should have packed up then. Instead, Marcus got stubborn. He kept saying the feed was baited somehow, that the house wanted us looking at the monitor instead of the room itself. He took the handheld from me, climbed back into the attic, and ordered me to stay downstairs watching the live shot while Jen kept logging. That was when the feed changed. No figure this time. No movement from the shadows. Just Marcus kneeling near the camera, adjusting the tripod, when something appeared at the very back wall. Not a body, just 2 hands flattening onto the floorboards from a gap that should have been too narrow for anything to fit through. Then a forehead eased into view, followed by one open eye reflecting the camera light. I screamed for him to move, but Marcus didn't react. On the feed, the thing was fully visible now from the shoulders up, dragging itself into the attic with a smile stretched too wide for the rest of its face. In real time, through the open ceiling hatch above me, all I could see was Marcus alone, still crouched, still talking to himself while testing cables. The split between the two realities felt wrong in my stomach, like the house had cracked open and was showing us different versions of the same second. Jen backed away from the monitor, She kept whispering that the thing on the feed wasn't coming from the attic. It was coming toward the camera because it knew we were the ones watching. Then the attic cam angle shifted by itself. Nobody touched it. The tripod gave one tiny jerk, then pivoted 3 inches left, enough to reveal more of the floor near the lens. Fingers were there, human-looking at first, dusty and thin, curled over the boards just beneath the frame, as if something had already crawled all the way up to the camera and was now lying flat under its own blind spot. Jen made this awful choking sound and pointed before I even saw the rest. A cheek pressed into view, then an eye. It wasn't staring into the attic. It was staring straight into us, through the monitor, unblinking and patient, like it had made the whole crawl just to get close enough to look back. I took the handheld and ran upstairs. I don't know whether I wanted to prove the feed wrong or drag Marcus out by force, but I hit the attic opening fast enough to slam my shoulder on the frame. Marcus was gone. The static cam was still where we had placed it, aimed at the far end, and the attic was empty in the beam of my light. Completely empty. No body, no figure, no movement. I called his name and heard him answer from downstairs. That stopped me cold. His voice was beneath me, in the dining room with Jen. But on the monitor below, which I could still hear hissing through the open floor, the feed picked that exact moment to show someone crawling toward the lens again, this time wearing Marcus's shirt. I backed out so fast I nearly fell through the hatch. When I made it downstairs, Marcus was standing with Jen near the monitor, both of them staring at the screen. I swung the handheld at him, trying to understand how he could be there and there at the same time. The man beside me looked exactly like Marcus until the handheld light hit the back of his shirt. No dust streak now, just clean fabric. Too clean. The monitor showed the crawling version dragging itself nearer until its face filled half the frame. Same beard, same haircut, same eyes, only wider, emptier, thrilled. Jen whispered that the one standing next to us had never come down the ladder. I looked over, and Marcus slowly smiled without showing teeth. The last 30 seconds of the tape are mostly impact blur and static. Jen ran first. I heard something hit the monitor table, heard the tripod upstairs topple over through the ceiling, heard that fake Marcus sprint not after her, but toward me. The handheld went sideways, caught one clean frame of the dining room monitor on the floor, and in that frame the attic feed had changed one final time. No attic, no crawl space. Just a close live shot of me from somewhere above, as if another camera had been waiting in the dark over the hatch the entire night. The tape ends with me looking up, and with something overhead beginning to crawl down head first. If this file got under your skin, that means it worked. Drop a comment with the moment that hit hardest, and subscribe before the next tape surfaces. More POV horror files are coming, and some cameras do not show you the room you are standing in.